What will be the highest pay-per-view boxing event ever? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to On Me Head, son. Hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, what will be the biggest pay-per-view event ever in boxing history? I'm talking the biggest ever. Bigger than Pacquiao Mayweather, bigger than Mayweather McGregor, biggest ever. And I'll tell you, it will be between two non-boxers. This is my thoughts here. The biggest name in influencer boxing that doesn't really box and isn't actually very good is Logan Paul. When he comes to the party, when he brings his name to something, all of a sudden, eyes come with him, whether you like him or not. The other biggest name in the influencer world, in fact, probably the biggest, whether you like him or not, is Andrew Tate. Now, setting aside some judicial restrictions that he may be facing in Romania, if the fight were ever to come off, if those restrictions were lifted, if terms could be agreed between these two influencers to come into a boxing ring and box each other, the eyes of the world, who are not necessarily interested in boxing or interested in fighting at all, but the eyes of the world who recognize these two names will come into this world. There'll be an interest, a piqued interest. And when we're talking about pay-per-views, we're talking about those who are willing to pay the $10, $20, $30, $40. Now, if we're talking about the young viewers, most of those will be illegal streamers. They're not going to pay the pay-per-view. So really, you've got to look at the mid-20s onwards who probably want a better quality stream, and they're going to be willing to pay that pay-per-view price. The question is here is how many of those illegal streamers can you encourage to pay a pay-per-view? And the way you do that is by making it cheap in the first place. You don't try and charge $70, $80, $100. Actually, what you do, you try and charge it a little bit less. Now, I'm not saying you sell it at $10, but you sell it at $20, $30, $40 maximum. Then all of a sudden, you've got yourself a halfway house. You've got it where it's cheap enough for adults, let's say, earning adults to be able to easily afford it. And you've got it cheap enough that younger people who can group together to, hey, let's just pay for this and watch a really good stream together. Make it a social event. The biggest pay-per-view in boxing history won't be from boxing fan support. It's going to be from worldwide, global influencer support. And these two biggest names in the influencer world, let's say, who have a physical presence as well in terms of fighting, boxing, getting into a ring, a wrestling ring, whatever you want to call it. These two Goliaths of this world, of this space, getting into a boxing ring is going to attract a lot of people. It's going to attract a lot of eyes. And that's also going to attract those boxing fans who are kind of getting used to the influencer boxing scene as well. You're going to get all those influencer boxing fans definitely queuing up to pay those pay-per-views as well. And the internet would erupt with anticipation. And that's what's going to sell this fight. That's what's going to make this pay-per-view the biggest ever. And I believe that these two individuals, Andrew Tate and Logan Paul, could be the highest paid individual athletes to ever enter a boxing ring. In other words, they would enter the ring and they'd be paid something like $50, $60, $70 million each. Is that crazy to think about that? Possibly. I'm probably being a little bit generous here. But do I think that the pay-per-view numbers on that fight and that fight alone would be the one to top them all? Yeah, I do. And it's got nothing to do with boxing quality, boxing records, them two matching up against each other. I actually think Andrew Tate would wipe the floor with Logan Paul, but that's another story, of course. But the mere fact of these two getting into a ring for a boxing match, and it's got to be a really decent card behind it as well. You've got to have really strong fights behind it that lead up to it. They've got to be bangers. Now, you could have a few influencer boxing bouts as well. Another Dean the Great, Wally Sharks, let's say. Or KSI on the undercard with, let's say, Tommy Fury. I don't know, something like that. You could even drip feed a few pro fights as well in there. But high-level pro fights. You could do that. But the main event would be Logan Paul against Andrew Tate. That would sell in huge numbers around the world. Just think about it. All those influencer boxing fans around the world, all those who are not interested in influencer boxing, but follow these two names, follow everything they do, eat on every word that they say. These two names bring the biggest audience. And this is why it'd be the biggest pay-per-view boxing event ever. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Who would win between Logan Paul and Andrew Tate? Would it be the biggest pay-per-view ever? Would you pay for it? And what do you think would be the golden number, the golden pay-per-view price to attract not only those who can afford to pay for it and are willing to pay for it, and those who would traditionally not pay for it, who could not afford it? What would be the figure? Would it be that there's no way that you'd ever pay for a fight like that? Now, I'm skeptical of the whole pay-per-view thing, especially for influencer boxing. But for that fight, maybe I'd change my tune as well. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I'll catch you again on another video coming very soon. Bye now.